Hi, my name is Dave. I'm your host. You're listening to The Last Podcast, where the first shall be last and the last shall be first. If this is your first time listening, welcome. I'm happy to have you. And if you are returning, welcome back. I really appreciate you listening, and I hope you continue to find tips, ideas, and value from listening to this podcast. I have a question. And I seriously believe that questions are the keys to the doors with the answers. So, my question to you today, do you have a handle on your emotional intelligence? Yeah, I know, what a question, right? And I believe that a lot of people would say yes to this. But then again, when you watch them over a period of time, you will start to see that their answer may not be matching their actions. And why do I say that? Because I've witnessed emotional intelligence. I mean, when I started looking at, and I still learn about emotional intelligence. I believe we all will continue to learn. But let me back up for a moment. What in the world is emotional intelligence? I mean, what is EQ? Do you know? I mean, a lot of people claim they know, but when we look for a meaning, what would you classify it as? It's the ability to understand and use and manage your own emotions and understand how to act emotionally toward others with their own emotions. It's also known as emotional quotient, right? So emotional intelligence allows us to have that ability to understand, right? To understand our emotions and manage and express one's emotion as well. And we are also able to recognize and respond appropriately to the emotions of others. That often includes components like self-awareness, self-regulation, and a big one for me, empathy and social skills. Essentially, it's the skill of being emotionally aware and using that awareness to navigate relationships effectively. So, how do you think you fare with your own emotional intelligence? I mean, it's something that you have to actually take time out to really understand for yourself and understand how you act toward others. And not even if there was nobody around, your own emotional intelligence that basically says, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about that? Understanding your emotions, right? I guess it requires us to distinguish between our thoughts and our feelings. And, our feelings would be immediate, right? Instinctive responses. You know what? I can get into an argument with this because I kind of believe it's almost the opposite. I believe that, we can instantly have a thought, right? And those thoughts would lead to a feeling. And then what? The feelings, they would lead to what? Actions. And then depending on the actions, we'll also have consequences of those actions. And then the consequences will undoubtedly lead to a state of reality, whether it's for a few minutes or whether it's for a long period of time. So understanding our emotion requires us to distinguish those thoughts, those feelings. And for an example, if you're feeling frustrated when a project doesn't go as planned, or if you were angry by somebody who came and did something to you, it instantly will trigger something in you, and instantly you'll have a reaction, which that feeling towards whatever you were thinking. If somebody came up and smacked you in the face, instinct might be to actually smack them back real quick with almost out thinking, right? It's not a feeling, but it's a thought that said, I'm smacking them back instantly. Well, I was probably one of those, I mean, if you smack me, I'm smacking you back. And I know the good book tells us, if you get smacked on the face, turn the other cheek. And you know what? That's all good. I mean, it depends, right? Who smacks you? It depends if how you're smacked. I mean, all those things depend, right? Emotional intelligence help us to bridge the gap between our feelings and our thoughts, ensuring that our emotions or whatever we're feeling don't control our decisions, hence the action. And that is where a lot of people are falling short. And that's why I asked the question, do you know, or how do you fare with your own emotional intelligence? And when you think about that, right, emotional intelligence, when you have a grip on it, it kind of like enables us to take a pause, assess, and choose a response that align with our goals and values or align with whatever is happening at that moment. Now, there are many times, I'm being perfectly transparent with you here, there are many times when emotional intelligence never came into play when I was younger, especially when I was angered. Stop and pause wasn't in my category, However, over the years, I've learned to take time and pause, take a moment, take a walk, take a drive. I did whatever I had to do to try to diffuse the situation, especially if you are married or you are in a relationship. I'm going to tell you right now, your emotional intelligence plays a big role, and it will be impactful in your relationship if you learn to enhance and grow your emotional intelligence. And I'm going to give you a case in point. My late wife, we would probably get in arguments at times. And when we had a dispute over something, I've learned there in the very beginning of our relationship, I was combative. I would jump in the trenches and argue you down because I wanted to be right. It didn't matter if I was wrong. I just wanted to be right. However, over the years, I decided that this is not the way. So what I did was I would take a walk. I would take my car and drive. But you know what? I even stopped doing that to a point. I'll take my car and drive and park it somewhere. Because even with anger, driving and you don't even know you're probably driving in excessive speed and you're not even realizing because your mind is racing with anger, with emotions, with thoughts, and you're not paying attention to your speed, your surroundings, and you might wind up hurting someone and even yourself. So I learned how to go out the house, take a walk, and come back. During that walk, I have the opportunity to stop, reassess, and look at both sides, not just my side, but look at it from her side. And there were many times I saw her point of view and I was wrong. So guess what? I went back and let her know, I am sorry. You're right. I had time to think it over and, I this happened, that happened. There is no excuse for my actions. You're right. And how can I make this up to you? And you know what? That diffused the whole situation. That made her, it didn't make her day, but it made her say, okay, this guy is finally growing. He wants to make this right. So I'm going to make it right. We're going to work together to make this right. And I don't think we would have been married for 26 years if we couldn't find a way to make things work, to make things right. And I'm telling you right now, if you're in a relationship, if you are in a heated conversation, you have to take a moment and walk away, because sometimes you might say stuff you can't take back. Thank God I'm not a person who cuss. Thank God I'm not a type of person who would call my wife or any woman out of their name. So I never really had to worry about that. But one thing I had to worry about was trying to be combative in a situation that didn't really warrant it. Because when there is an argument, when there is a heated conversation, you got to take away the emotion. Once you extrapolate the emotions of that particular argument, now you can see, and let me tell you why I say that, because when I took a walk, it allowed my prefrontal cortex to regain control, because I was in an emotional state, and boom, that took over any logic. So when you're taking a walk, it allows your prefrontal cortex to regain control. And now you can think about items, you could think about life, you could think about your situation in a logical manner. So I think understanding and managing our emotional intelligence is definitely at the core of our being as well. I mean, it gives us an opportunity to have the power to regulate our emotions effectively, right? So why not learn more about yourself? Why not learn more about my emotional logic and my emotional feelings, and understanding yourself at a core being where your emotional intelligence can grow. So I also think if you look at your emotional intelligence and you start examining how you feel and how you're thinking, and if, to give you another case in point, if you're mad at something or somebody, if you look at what am I thinking right now, if you actually stop for a moment and say, what am I thinking? Those thoughts are the sole purpose of your feelings at that moment. And you can change your thoughts instantly. That means that you could change your feelings as well. Instantly. You don't have to stay in that state where you're constantly upset about something. Your emotional intelligence, and if you work on it, you can help yourself grow. And it's all about self-awareness. You can recognize your emotions in any moment, and you'll give yourself the power to effectively navigate your feelings and your thoughts. So I wanted to really talk about that, and I really believe that we have an opportunity to grow as part of our own resilience, how we handle stress, because stress is what? It's also what we're thinking, because that's what it all boils down to. And I'm going to do a whole podcast soon about thoughts, feelings, actions, consequences, and our state of reality, because it all boils down to that. It all boils down to, and that's why in the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. It's thoughts. It's how you think, how you feel determines your actions, and your actions has consequences, good or bad. And that will equal your state of reality, whether it's just for a few moments or whether it's for a course of or over a period of time. It could be years. Your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your consequences, your state of reality. So understanding your emotional intelligence is just part of that. It enhances you at your core. And you got to think about your stress levels, right? What are your stress levels? Stress management, how you can deal with what you're thinking, your stress. What are you stressed about? Think about that for a moment. When you feel anxious, when you feel stressed, and when you feel overwhelmed, what is the thoughts that are making you feel overwhelmed, stressed, overworked, or whatever? Think about what you're thinking about, and that'll help you in self-awareness, because you need to become more self-aware of what you're thinking and how you're feeling, and then how you're acting, because what you're thinking and it determines how you feel, and how you feel determines what you're going to do, your actions. And your actions, like I said, they have consequences, whether it's good or bad. What are you going to do tomorrow? What are you thinking? How are you feeling right now? What are you thinking? All boils down to your thoughts. Self-awareness, emotional intelligence. It's all together. It's snapped right in one little groove together. But it's still a difference, because your emotions are your feelings, right? Your feelings is part of your emotions. But why are you so emotional? It's because of what you're thinking. So I think emotional intelligence will help us connect with others. And it helps us on an emotional level, right? It isn't just about self-awareness. It's all about understanding others as well, having that empathy, that social awareness, and communication. It helps us to engage in meaningful interactions to foster what? Deeper relationships with others, right? And I'm going to come to a close in just a hot minute because I really wanted to dive into a deep self-awareness, but we don't have enough time. At least I know I don't. So I'm going to go back to this real quick. Emotional intelligence will help us strengthen our relationships. And one of the ways that you can do that, especially when you are getting into heated arguments, heated conversations, it's always good to know what to do, how to act. And if you're getting a heated relationship a heated argument within your relationship, it's time to walk away. Just a minute or 10 minutes so you can stop, pause, reassess. How am I feeling? I'm upset. So what am I thinking about? Yeah, maybe it's time to take that moment, that pause, and reassess and realign. Let me look at it from her point of view or their point of view, and let me look at it from my point of view. Now, it's not about who's right or wrong at this point, unless that's the type of person you are. You got to always be right. Like in the beginning of my relationship, it didn't matter. I just wanted to be right. I not only wanted to be right, but I wanted to be heard. You're not listening to me. Any of that sound familiar? Hey, listen, I am just shooting some stuff at you to really make you kind of think about your own emotional intelligence. It's just sometimes you have to think about what it is that you're feeling. And if you're feeling a certain way, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling blue, if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling happy, if you're feeling like nothing else matters, why? Why are you feeling that way? What kind of thoughts are you having? What's creating those thoughts that's making you act like that or think like that and making you feel that way? And then guess what? It's going to make you act a certain way. And then you're going to have the consequences of those actions. And then you're going to have that state of reality, whether it's short or for a long period of time that could even last for years. Hey, listen, my name is Dave. You're listening to the last podcast. I want you to do me a favor and subscribe, like this podcast, and get a handle on your emotional intelligence because it will be predicated on how you live out your life. That's all I got for you today. Be blessed and have a great evening.